Afternoon, everybody. I'm Jessica Mickelbust. I'm the Region 1 Transportation Director for the Colorado Department of Transportation. What an exciting day. Thank you, everybody, for coming to join us today. The State Patrol and the Federal Highway Administration and CDOT, as well as all of you, are gathering today to celebrate the 50th anniversary or 50th birthday of the Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel. With us today is CDOT Executive Director Shoshana Liu, Colorado State Patrol Chief Colonel Matthew Packard, and FHWA Division Director John Cater. We're going to spend the next few minutes sharing some interesting history about the tunnel and its significance to the state of Colorado. Then we will pause for 50 seconds to mark the tunnel's next 50 years. Behind me are all of the first vehicles that will usher in the next half century. These are all vintage vehicles from the 1970s. Colorado State Patrol's 1970 Fury, the tunnel's original fire truck, and a 1973 MGB in Harvest Gold. Following that, we'll go inside and celebrate the tunnel's 50 years with a special birthday cake. And if you haven't had a chance to see what goes on behind the scenes at the tunnel, we have an opportunity to do a tour of the tunnel as well. With that, I will turn this over to Executive Director Shoshana Liu.
All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here to celebrate this really momentous occasion. I think I heard some avalanche mitigation in honor of the day. We have a lifetime of friends and family of the Eisenhower Tunnel, ranging from the state folks who keep it running every day to folks who worked on building it. Hats off to Randy Wheelock, a county commissioner who in a past life helped build this thing, to many folks who are part of the day-to-day of the tunnel. So I will try to talk briefly about some of the history so we can go give some cake toasts to the tunnel in earnest. 50 years ago today, something big happened in Colorado. The 1.7-mile Eisenhower Tunnel opened to traffic. Today, 434 million vehicles have driven through the east and westbound tunnel since 1973. That's a lot. While motorists drive through the tunnel in a few minutes, they may not realize the monumental effort it took to plan and build such an infrastructure feat under the most challenging circumstances. Over a 5-year construction period, 6,000 people and heavy machinery worked for a total of 4.9 million hours to blast and drill through nearly 8,000 feet of rock and earth under the Continental Divide in harsh winter conditions. It is truly a feat. 3 men lost their lives working on the project, and when construction started in 1968, it was the largest single federal aid highway project in the nation's history. Not bad. For the last 55 decades, 50 years, the Eisenhower Tunnel has served as a great connector, tying east and west together in Colorado. It has provided a critical life-saving link for moving goods and services and helped to mark Colorado as a world-class mountain destination. Before the tunnel was built, the east-west mountain routes in Colorado were US 6 over Loveland Pass and Berthoud Pass. I think folks are familiar with those. We still use them, but this is certainly a lot more efficient, because those passes can be treacherous during the winter, as you know. Once the interstate system was taking shape across the country in the 60s and 70s, the Eisenhower Tunnel became one of the crown jewels of the West, providing a safer and more efficient route through the mountains instead of over it. There were obstacles to building this tunnel. Crews worked in brutal conditions, which our maintenance forces know well, at over 11,000 feet, had to use new engineering methods, and needed to shore unstable rock so a hole 50 feet high and 45 feet wide could be supported. That was expected to take 3 years to build and took 5 years at the cost of $110 million. I imagine it would be more given inflation. As one veteran highway engineer put it, we were going by the book, but the damn mountain couldn't read. It took grit and pioneer resiliency to build this tunnel, and the investment is ongoing as we now take on significant repairs, which our 10-year plan has prioritized thanks to funding from the legislature in Senate Bill 260 and our federal delegation helping us secure federal funds for the project too. So with that, we are pleased to be here to celebrate this occasion, to thank everyone who continues to work, throughout the winter months, especially to keep this area clear. It is not an easy area to plow or to maintain through engineering investments. To thank everyone who has worked on improvements, whether it's the fire suppression system or otherwise, and to really just show our appreciation to everyone who bears with traffic often being difficult in this area during the winter months especially. So thank you to everyone. Happy birthday to the tunnel. And I think I'll turn it over to Chief Packard.
Thank you very much, Executive Director Lou. Again, my name is Colonel Matthew Packard. It's my privilege to serve as the Chief of the Colorado State Patrol and represent our organization to be here shoulder to shoulder with CDOT to celebrate a pretty remarkable birthday, 50 years of an absolutely remarkable engineering marvel. I just look back through history and I think back to the first time riding with my dad as a child, coming through on I-70 and the whole trip talking about that we're going to go through this tunnel and what a neat experience it was going to be. And I remember trying to hold my breath going through this tunnel at this altitude, and suffice it to say, it didn't work, but I got to keep my eyes open and see something that's truly, truly remarkable. And I look back over the last 50 years of the things that this highway, this tunnel has facilitated for the people of Colorado. Truly a lifeblood for our state's economy, to people to enjoy the beauty. I mean, look at this place, the beauty of Colorado. So I'd like to speak directly to the staff that makes this place run. You heard Executive Director Lou to talk about the effort to build this, the truly a remarkable experience of people that gave their lives to bore out these tunnels for the people of Colorado. But every day since, for the last 50 years, there have been CDOT workers working in incredible conditions inside the tunnel and outside and around to make sure people could drive through and visit our state. And it is our honor to take that effort along with you, but just know that we appreciate it very much. As a young kid driving through with his dad, and as a state trooper that relies on this so that we can keep the people of Colorado safe. So congratulations to you. Thank you for what you do very much. And again, it's our honor to work alongside of you, and I'll tell you some interesting history. Today you will see a state patrol car go through this tunnel several times a day as we're working to keep this highway moving safely and to mitigate accidents and crashes that occur in this area as well. And in fact, I'm pleased to tell you that today we're going to drive a 1970 Plymouth Fury through this tunnel. That same car, that same model car, was patrolling I-70 when this tunnel opened. The first car through this tunnel after it was open for pave and business was a 1935 Colorado State Patrol Ford, which is a really neat thing. There's a little bit of a backstory. The tunnel didn't open up, the tunnel opened up officially, but before it was paved, there was a young guy that wanted to make a little bit of history himself. And he snuck through the barricade, so to speak, and drove his car on a dirt road through that tunnel. A patrolman caught him, however, before he was successful. For the record, he arrested him for driving impaired. So state troopers have been arresting impaired drivers for 50 years and then some. So again, to CDOT, congratulations on an incredible 50th birthday for the tunnel. And we look forward to working with you and keeping I-70 safe and rid of impaired drivers for 50 years to come. So congratulations, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Jessica.
What an incredible day, and what a major milestone for Colorado's transportation system. At the end of opening day in 1973, nearly 4,660 cars had driven through the tunnel. By July of 1973, the millionth car passed through the tunnel. In 2022, an average of 35,000 vehicles passed through the tunnel a day, with a total of 13 million vehicles over the course of a year. The Eisenhower Tunnel is so much more than infrastructure. It is a round-the-clock operation with men and women with special technical expertise who keep the tunnel open and safe. Since the tunnel opened in 1973, we have not had one fatality in either of the tunnels. A dedicated crew of more than 30 full-time employees work at the tunnel with job duties ranging from 24/7 television surveillance, emergency response, tunnel washing, ventilation maintenance, tunnel sweeping, snow removal, heavy equipment servicing and repair, and, if you didn't know, water treatment. The CDOT tunnel crew also serves as firefighters, complete with fire trucks and firefighting equipment to respond immediately to incidents. A new tunnel fire suppression system was built in 2015. As with anything that has aged, our tunnel needs some updates. CDOT is modernizing much of the tunnel's internal operations system. This includes electrical, the tunnel's own water treatment plant, and many other functions. We continue to upgrade the outdated and aging infrastructure. These priority projects are part of the 10-year plan for CDOT. Stepping back in history for a moment, I'll end with the story of 33-year-old Janet Bonema. She qualified for a job to work in the tunnel in 1972. She took the highway department to task when they would not allow her to step foot in the tunnel because she was a woman. Bonema filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against the Department of Highways, but eventually settled out of court. She later reported to work in the tunnel. But when she showed up for work, over 60 tunnel workers walked off the job in protest, but they soon returned. They said it was considered bad luck for a woman to enter the mine or the tunnel. We've come a long way. Not only did the tunnel break new ground for Colorado by connecting the East and West, it also broke new ground for women to work in construction. It's hard to believe that was just over 50 years ago. How far we have come, and how it will be interesting to see what the next 50 years bring. And now I'll turn it over to our partner agency, Federal Highway Administration Administrator, John Cater.
Thank you, Jessica. 50 years is a long time, and I guess, unlike probably most of you, I can remember when the tunnel opened, and what a big event that was. I was a student at the time. I was in Kansas, and it was big news in Kansas. This was a huge deal nationally. This tunnel is over 1.5 miles long, the highest point on the interstate, connecting across the Continental Divide. It was a huge deal nationally, not just in Colorado, but nationally, and it was a big deal. And so a couple years later, we came out here on vacation from Kansas, and we got a chance to drive through it. And again, it was just the most amazing thing. You drive for over 1.5 miles through the tunnel, through the mountain, and you pop out on the other side, and it's cloudy on one side and it's sunny on the other. It's a different world on the other side, and what a deal! It's just such a revelation, I think, and it was such a sign to somebody who's a student then about the potential in transportation. It gets you excited about transportation, and so 50 years later, here I am still working in transportation, but it's really something that's a huge deal nationally that I think was more of a landmark than we probably even appreciate, just kind of for the psychology of it all. Since we scheduled this event here several weeks ago, I've told several friends that we were coming out, we're having this event, and once you bring it up, everybody's got a story about the tunnel. Everybody's got something. I had one friend who said, she was a kid when the tunnel opened, and her parents would stick the kids in the back seat of the car. They come up here, they drive through the tunnel, they turn around and go back. Just the cool thing to drive through the tunnel. What a neat deal that was, and what a so special. And I think people have stories about, well, now I could go to Glenwood Springs quicker, I could go to Summit County quicker. All these things that were more accessible to me because of the tunnel. It made my life more livable. The businesses are able to run deliveries out here, and it's just all the things, the impact on freight, all these things that are there because of the tunnel. And I think it's one of those things we sometimes forget of the huge impact that transportation has. And from a federal highway standpoint, as Shoshana mentioned, this was the biggest project, the biggest interstate project we had. And there's been, of course, superseded by many others, including Glenwood Canyon. But it was such a landmark nationally. There was a sign that we were serious about connecting the country, and it was a sign that we were serious about this interstate system was really going to happen, and it was going to happen everywhere, not just in the prairies and whatnot, but across mountains, connecting the entire country. So a huge landmark, a great project, and one that's had such an impact on not only Colorado, but on the nation as a whole. And it's just a thrill to be here as part of this, and looking forward to 50 more years. And like many have said, we're gonna have to take care of it, but it's a great landmark, and what an accomplishment. So thanks to all of you who maintain it and keep it open and keep it safe. So with that, I'll turn it back to Jessica.
Thank you again for coming today to celebrate the 50th anniversary birthday of our tunnel. But first, to mark the tunnel's 50th anniversary in a very visual way, we will stop traffic on the westbound I-70 Eisenhower Tunnel for 50 seconds. So the Colorado State Patrol will officially usher in the next half century like they did when the tunnel opened, followed by the tunnel fire truck and the MGB. After that is complete, we have birthday cake inside. Please come and join us. Thank you so much for coming today. And with that, we're going to start our 50-second clock. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear tunnel. Happy birthday to you.